The words you don't speak are usually greater than the words that you utter from your mouth. So, how is it that you have behaved? What is your attitude? The person knows you are not grateful. And giving should even be done in secret. Most giving should be done in secret because it is the positioning of your heart. It is the joy that you derive from giving that person and helping out in a situation that should be more important than what it is that you get from it. Freely you have received. A scripture, freely you should give. Now, when you always give expecting something in return or so much more in return from the person that you give, the blessings that are supposed to be attached to that you're giving will definitely elude you. Whoever the recipient of gratitude always knows that this person is truly grateful because it doesn't hide. It's an expression, like I said, it's from inside out. You lose focus. You are not focusing on what it is that has been done for you. You are focusing on what could have been done. That's why you are ungrateful.
So you're welcome to another beautiful episode of VitalSpace podcast. If you've followed us, you know you will not be a stranger to what we're trying to do here. You know that we have always emphasized that to have a better society, we have to have better individuals, because it's these individuals that make up better societies. Even in the issues that we talk about, it is still the individuals involved in the issues that are and I know that every episode had been beautiful. If today is the first time you're listening to us, you just came across, I would ask that you go back and look at the other ones, listen to the other ones. It would do you good. It will do you good. So much value, so much knowledge has been shared on the other episode of the podcast. And I have with me here my friend, my sister, and partners on many fronts, and delivering values on many fronts. And as you would always know, simply Queen Esther. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me again in virtual spaces. I love this space. I do.
Yeah, it's a great space to be. Yeah. It's a great space to be with, because it just creates that opportunity for us to contribute to a wholesome development of society through wholesome conversation. The conversations out there, a lot of the conversations out there are not wholesome. And we need to, when there was darkness, what God said was, let there be light.
Yes.
So we don't wait until there's no more darkness for the light to shine. It's in the darkness that light shines.
Exactly.
And it's in that darkness that lights become effective. It's in darkness that light is seen to be light.
Yes.
So in the midst of all of the wrong conversations and all of the things that should not be, it's us trying to bring light.
Exactly.
Tries to bring light with this conversation. So thank you for coming on again. And today's what we're talking about is huge. And for me, it's in a lot of ways, it's a deal breaker in lots of ways, a deal breaker in a lot of ways. And most times, for now, I think it's even an endemic thing, the attitude around it.
It is.
The attitude that it has, it's there, is now an endemic thing that like people now accept it as normal. I don't know how we get to a point where we start accepting the wrong
as the norm.
Okay, so if you're guessing what we're talking about, today our topic is the ingratitude challenge. We would have said, oh, let's talk about gratitude, but no, it's ingratitude challenge. It's let's talk a bit about ingratitude. Yes, to get us to gratitude and all of that. So let me start with this. So it's direct. Why are people ungrateful?
Okay. I didn't expect us to start from this, but it's a very good point to start from. And I like it because I'm someone that always focuses on purpose. I like talking about purpose because if you know the reason behind something, it's just very easy to do it right. If you know the reason behind something, it's also very easy not to do it wrongly. Right. So, why are people ungrateful? The word ingratitude is the opposite of the word gratitude. Now, if you ask why people are grateful, you find out that it's something that comes from within. They are thankful, they appreciate. So, why would somebody now be ungrateful? Why would somebody have ingratitude as he or she's disposition? I like to call it a purpose problem. Right. I said that because if you do not know why you should be grateful, you find yourself being ungrateful. And a lot of times you do not even realize it. That's why you said it's not becoming a norm. Okay. People are ungrateful and they do not even know that they are ungrateful. Now, when I called it a purpose problem, it's because I want to point out a word. There's a word called focus. Now, if I'm focusing on you, I'm looking directly at you, right? And I'm not looking at any other thing. You become the center of what I am looking at, right? Meaning, if you could use a microscope into my eyes, what you would see, the direct reflection will be you. Okay. Now, if I'm focusing on this mic, it means all I'm seeing is this mic. I'm seeing other things.
Yeah.
I mean, inside my frame, because I'm not blind, obviously. But then my attention, the greater percentage of my attention is on this mic. Right. Now, people have left their focus. And I say that because it's very easy to be distracted in the world of today. Now, I'll use an example to explain the entire scenario. Someone calls an uncle. Uncle, please help me. I need to pay fees. Uncle sends money for fees. Let's say the fees is about 100,000, just an average amount, And uncle sends 100,000 because yeah, my niece needs money for fees. Probably an orphan, probably parents are not well to do. So he knows that there's that challenge. Now, uncle may be seen as such a big man. He has so much money. And so the girl sends a message. THANK with Z at the end because she's Gen Z. Thanks. And she sends it maybe a day or two after she received the money. She has paid her fees. Uncle doesn't say anything. And then the next semester, she sends a message again. Usually, the messages you send to request for money or anything from anybody, long, quite long worded. You're explaining because mommy doesn't even have enough food to feed us. This is that. I need this. I can't write exams. Help me out, blah, blah, blah. And then uncle sends 100,000 the next semester, right? And she sends another message. This time around, not even the full thanks. She sends TH with Z. Okay, THNZ. Thanks. And then the third time she sends that message and uncle doesn't respond to her. Because number one, uncle doesn't owe her Number two, uncle sees that short response as ingratitude and disrespectful. And the little girl has gone to her mom. I don't know why uncle doesn't want to give me money for the fees. This is that. This is that. And she even starts making statements like he has a lot. He should know that she doesn't have and all that. Now, you see that the focus left, the focus of the fact that I've asked him in the past, he has given me once, twice. What has been my response towards what he did for me? Normal thanks. And to her, that's grateful enough. But the words you don't speak are usually greater than the words that you utter from your mouth. So, how is it that you have behaved? What is your attitude? The person knows you are not grateful. In fact, the way you send that thanks without being told, he knows that you would have appreciated it or called him or been grateful if he had added extra money on it and possibly maybe sent it to you without even being asked. That's the wrong message you are passing. And because the world has shifted from the right things and now sees wrong things as the norm, she is not even aware that she has been ungrateful. If you ask her, she will say she even sent a message acknowledging the money. But you wrote a 4-5 paragraph message to request for these funds. Possibly did follow-up calls. And this man paused and sent you the money. But you were not able to put a call out of excitement. So the thing about gratitude is it shows, you know, whoever the recipient of gratitude always knows that this person is truly grateful because it doesn't hide. It's an expression, like I said, it's from inside out. Nobody needs to tell a grateful person, have you thanked the giver? Nobody needs to. He, out of excitement, thanks and keeps thanking. He never even stops thanking. He even tells as many people as possible of the goodness of the other person. So the person finds out that 5 people, 6 people are calling to say thank you. So you see, you lose focus. You are not focusing on what it is that has been done for you. You are focusing on what could have been done. That's why you are ungrateful. Another scenario, Bible scenario. You know, I like using Bible scenarios. The children of Israel. In Deuteronomy, they were moving, right? That had terrible times in Egypt, and now they were going to the land that God Himself had promised. What happened? God gave them manna. Every day they had food to eat. God gave them victories over different cities they were passing through, and it was beautiful. God even gave them victory over Pharaoh, who had made up his mind that he would never let the children of Israel go. He did great wonders. He parted the sea, created a way for them, killed the Egyptians in their very eyes. And he had done much more for them. But what happened? They got to Edom. They needed to cross. And the king of Edom refused them passage. All of a sudden, within the twinkle of an eye, the children of Israel forgot completely all that God had been doing for them. What happened? They shifted focus, forgetting what God had done and just picking on the particular thing that they were rejected free passage because they had to go round Edom. It was a longer route now. They forgot that during the day, He provides shade for them. The miraculous things God did in the wilderness for the Israelites till today. They can be studied. They can no, they're just too awesome. Their feet did not grow weary. At night, when it would be cold, they had a pillar of fire, natural warmth. During the day, they had air conditioning, shade, thousands of people moving. Nobody was sick. Nobody was dying. God was just always providing for them. But just because they met one challenge, they couldn't pass through Edom. What happened? Focus shifted. These people became ungrateful. They started murmuring and complaining and forgetting all the things that God had done for them. The same way they built a graven image because they couldn't just wait.
So ingratitude, like you said, it's a thing about the loss of focus,
Yes, it is.
disposition,
Attitude.
attitude.
Yes,
So the ungrateful person is a forgetful person.
exactly. That's the point. He forgets.
Is it because they are fixated on themselves in a way?
Yes, you could say that because it is only a selfish person that would easily forget. Now, somebody has been good to you over and over again. And then at a point, you're expecting certain blessings and you have not seen it. It's not even as if the person has said he's not giving you. It just looks like there's a challenge. And then you forget. So you could say that, yes, they are selfish people. And there's another word I would like to use. Apart from the fact that they put themselves as the most important, they are also impatient people. Yes. You see, a grateful person always waits, is patient, so that whenever it is that they receive that favor, that help, that they are grateful. But the ungrateful person a lot of times feels I've asked for this thing for so long, it eventually came. What's the point being grateful or excited? You see, they are impatient and they're self-absorbed, just like you said, selfish because they feel the world revolves around them. They feel they're the most important people in the equation. They do not put themselves in the shoes of others. So they find themselves being ungrateful.
Uh, um, in what ways currently
Mm,
has our society helped to foster
it's
ingratitude?
exactly. Hmm. So we talked about losing focus on what has been done and then focusing on what has not been done, focusing on the problems, the present challenges. Now, in our society today, you find out that there is more attention. I mean, news, I mean, publicity and all that about bad things. The good things are more salient, they're watered down, not so much publicity. It just looks like the norm for anything that is bad to hit the headlines. Now, what that has done is unconsciously made people to always focus on the bad, focus on the challenges, focus on the problems, focus on issues around. So it's now harder for people to see good. It's now harder for people to appreciate anything of value around them. They rather, or would I say, they are very quick to spot problems, challenges, issues. So, social media, the press, they've all contributed to highlighting bad things more. And then humans have unconsciously picked that up as a habit. So because they're doing it repetitive, it just looks normal. It looks right. You see, two things can be happening at the same time. Somebody giving birth over there and somebody being beaten and killed. And you have 1,000 people here. Think about it. 800 people will be focused here, if not 900, where they are beating somebody, where they are killing somebody. And people no longer even have humanity in them. They'll all pick up their phones and they'll be doing what? Videoing. Some are sharing it live. Some are even now automatic commentators. Somebody is dying there, and all you can do is how I can be the first to pick this news. Your interest is, and then somebody's giving birth beside, which is a beautiful thing. Life is happening there, but it doesn't interest them as much. So you see, the focus has moved. That's why I talked about focus. Because, gratitude is something that has you centered on the doer of a thing, you centered on the thing itself that has been done. And then appreciation comes from within you. You see? So it's unconscious and it has been happening like that. Then, of course, I always say this, charity begins at home. What are the parents doing about it? Your child just ate, drops the plate in the kitchen and walks away, and you're okay. You haven't imbibed that culture of gratitude in the child. So if he cannot be grateful for the food that he eats, he cannot be grateful for the things that you provide. And if he doesn't feel grateful for those things, who told you that when someone outside gives something to them, they would appreciate it? They wouldn't. Most children nowadays feel entitled to everything that they get. I actually do educate my kids and tell them how the prices of things have been going up. They should follow the trends. They should know. They should be aware. And you'll see them come and meet you and tell you, I'm so grateful for all that you do for us. Nobody told them to say it. It's coming from within. You've taught them. They know. They see why they should appreciate. You see? So they keep focusing on the good things you do for them. They keep appreciating it. They realize that these things, not every child my age has them. And then when you take your kids out, you should also show them children like them who don't have the same opportunity as they do and the things that they are going through, so that they would value and appreciate what they have. So, and then when you are grateful with little, it's easier for you to be grateful with a lot. When you have a lot, yeah. So
I what even in this attitude now in the society, I think that there are I would not say badly raised people, or okay, badly raised people,
or should we say wrongly raised?
wrongly raised
Yes.
people that picked up bad values along the way.
Yes.
And maybe certain things even happened to them, and so there's unforgiveness,
Yes.
traumas and unforgiveness. And you come and they teach all manner of things, and say all manner of things, and these things become like what contribution? Because I think that somehow the things that we come out and we say because of our bad experiences we've had, bad of things, and we now want to make that incident as the norm. And because we have a lot of persons following, we now
listening
still
to us,
listening. We
yes.
now want to teach that. Don't you think, whatever, I don't want to use the term influencers, but people, because with social media, I know that there are a lot of voices now. Shouldn't you think that people should be more careful or more intentional about, despite whatever experience, ensuring that what is good, what is valuable, stays good and valuable.
Yeah, I think you are correct because the next generation actually depend on us who are currently the custodians of truths, values, what is right, what is the norm, to hand down these things to them in wholeness, not in broken pieces and all that. Now, when a generation hands down values, morals, and all that in broken pieces, the generation that receives it after them further breaks it. Because if you find out, you notice that in every generation, there are usually changes, movements, exactly the word you used, voices. Okay? So now, when these voices are rising, there's alteration in what morals, values, norms should be. So if we are not careful, the generation after us will pick up pieces that have almost nothing in them. You see? Because these values should be handed down from generation to generations. People should teach at home humanity, should teach at home gratitude. It's very fundamental. People should teach these things at home, and then their children should be able to teach the other children. But then, when you are not intentional about the values that you hand down, and they hear all sorts of voices from around, what does it do? It filters what you've taught them. So by the time they're handing down to the next generation, it's not as concentrated as what you've handed down to them. And that's why we parents should be strict with the values that we hand down to our children. If we're not intentional about it, if we do not make sure we're giving them a lot, if we give them so little, it will be disastrous because they may not even have anything of substance to hand down to the next generation. And that's what we see today. If you check your great grandparents, stricter, firmer, experienced better up raising up of children, had better outcomes and results. Even the wealthy ones, you see, they train their children enough to be able to handle their wealth, taught them humility, taught them these values. And so they were able to move to the next generation. But then our grandparents, a little bit watered down, but then still concrete. Then what of our parents? A lot of them just lost focus and were focusing on work, growth, careers, and you can see the outcome in our peers these days. Values reducing as it goes down. Then the worst one is now our generation. Parents of our generation, oh my God, they are, what's the word? They're just, a lot of them are there, but they're absent. Absent fathers,
Absent
absent
mothers.
mothers, totally absent. And then the devices have started mothering and fathering these children for us. So when we even try to now instill these values in them, you find that that's already too late. They've got their brains fixed. And that's why these Gen Zs, oh my God, every little thing is having a mental breakdown. They're not strong enough to withstand anything
Anything.
because wrongly brought up. Let's not say badly. Let's choose our words rightly. Wrongly brought up. And then instead of the parents to try to take responsibilities, because eventually they start seeing it when they're teenagers. Oh my God, this child is turning to be something else. And then they try to start forcing. But the foundation, there's been a problem. And then when they see that it's not working, what do? They compromise, they give in. They now create excuses for these children. So imagine the generation that will come after our children of today. Disastrous results, and
Uh, uh,
God
uh,
will help us.
there are certain things that happen, and you're just like, it gives, it makes one scared
Mhm. Very worrisome.
and very worrisome.
Yeah.
And there are certain things that now happen. It now gives you that hope that, like, oh,
Okay.
okay, I'm not the only one fighting. I'm not the only one
Yes.
trying to thing that is one. But I think that a major problem, like you made it in passing, but I think that it's a major problem.
Mm.
The word is absenteeism. It's a big problem, and so with absent fathers, absent mothers, it even affirms that a lot of people are, even in their relationships, they are just not absent. They are not just present.
Mm.
Now they go in, so because of this absenting, they go out. Now they are absent. They go out looking for to be present in it, but what they have is empty, so they are still absent. So in their workplaces, they are absent. They are a lot, so just a lot of space. So I think at
So so much vacuum.
so much vacuum.
So much vacuum. And then if you are not intentional about what is filling up a space, nature, God made nature in a way that no vacuum truly exists. So when you're not intentionally filling it up, know for a fact that something
Someone.
or someone is filling it up, and you won't like the result, because what is going in is not what you intend to go in. It's anything from anywhere. So before you know it, somebody stands and is filled up with all the wrong stuff. So a lot of times, what I even feel for them are pity. And then I think, what can I do to salvage the situation? But most times, it looks like it's already a done matter, like it's gotten so far.
Okay, so talking about what can we do
Mm,
with this thing, with this ingratitude thing,
mm.
what can we do to help fix the challenge, the problem with ingratitude? What can be done? What do you think?
Okay.
Especially when we notice generally,
Mm,
maybe we could do general and see if we can also do specific.
okay. I like to attack it this way.
Yeah.
We talked about reasons why people are ungrateful. So if we could deal with those reasons one by one, right? I think gradually we'll have more grateful people. One of the steps, of course, is what we're doing today. We've brought it out as a topic and we're extraying it. Now, our viewers will listen and check themselves, check the children they're raising, check, around them, and identify how, oh, this is true. I have been ungrateful as a person. Oh, I don't think I've been intentional about raising grateful children, and possibly change will start, you know, evolving. Okay, I talked about impatience and you talked about selfishness, right? Okay. And we said these things fuel and foster ingratitude in the society. And then I had made the number one pointer focus, a lack of focus. People are distracted. So they can't really see what's before them to even have that sense of appreciation. So if we can work on these things, but I'll also like to add one more. So if you check, grateful people are actually responsible people. An irresponsible person has no business with being grateful. What is his concern? After all, life is anyhow to him or her. They wake up, they eat, they walk about. They're just not, they just don't see why they should be responsible. And so when you're talking about gratitude, it's very far. Like it's very, very far. They don't even understand it, right? Now, responsibility can be likened or proportional to the level of leadership in a person. Yes. So, ingratitude is a leadership problem.
Okay, we're taking it out.
Yeah, it is. Because if a leader is ungrateful, his followers will be ungrateful. Now, also, if somebody is responsible, takes responsibility and is leading even himself aright, you'll find out that the person becomes a grateful person. I always like to talk about purpose, like I said. The purpose of a thing gives off all the attitude, the behavior, almost everything. It tells you the essence of a thing. So man was created to be God's extension here on earth. And he says, go, have dominion, do this, do that. So many instructions, so many responsibilities. A man that is living a life of purpose is one that is aligned, picking up those responsibilities God has given him, generally as man, and then personally as an individual, and carrying them out. And you see, that man is a man that is grateful to God, his source. So once he's grateful, you find him doing the things he ought to do naturally, effortlessly. Because with gratitude comes a whole lot of other things. In fact, it's like a stream that flows, right? He wakes up in the morning and is grateful for the air that he's breathing, for the food that he's eating, for the wisdom he has, the ability to think, understand, communicate. He's grateful for his relationships. You see? And while doing that, he is living a responsible life. So the issues around ingratitude goes back to the source. Where are you from? Who are you? Why do you do the things that you do? Purpose. And then you would know that, oh, I need to be grateful. I have a maker. And to show that I appreciate him, I will do only the things that please him. To show that I appreciate him, I will do only the things that he expects of me. You see responsibility, you see leadership. So that way you can't even be selfish because you realize that you were created for a purpose, not for your personal purpose or your personal agenda, but God's agenda. And while doing it, you need to touch lives. You need to affect people positively. You need to love. You need to appreciate. You see, that way, there's no abuse. There's no lack of focus. It's on God, the giver, the maker, the creator. And then gratitude naturally comes from inside out. You can't even be ungrateful.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let me take us. Let me. I will not say do a detour, but let me take us to an area where there are instances where certain persons
Mm,
do something for people
mm,
would want Now, this person is grateful. The person has expressed thanks and all that.
Mm.
But this person uses that one thing
Mm.
as chuku, a chuku, that's
Mm.
something that for this
Like you
one
owe
thing,
me your
like
life.
you owe me a
Exactly.
life.
I understand.
Does that not also, does that attitude, does it not now make people just say, you know what? Because there are persons that they do the thing for you and the whole world knows that they did it for you.
Mm.
And they will never stop reminding you that one act of benevolence, one act. Don't you think that that attitude also fuels people now not being grateful as they should be?
Unfortunately, what you said is very rampant. People do a little and then they expect somebody to be, what's the word? Apart from grateful, now beyond grateful, now become eternally indebted to them. And that has made a lot of people take steps backward in showing how much they appreciate what people have done for them. In fact, there are people that sexually even exploit the people that they've helped just because they feel the person owes them after what they did for them. So, yes, I agree that that also makes people react negatively. But I like to join my thoughts to that train by pointing out that freely you have received. A scripture, freely you should give. Now, when you always give expecting something in return or so much more in return from the person that you gave, the blessings that are supposed to be attached to that you're giving would definitely elude you. And I like to use another scripture. You see, when you give, there's a reward for giving. But it is not where you give that you necessarily have to have the reward. It's not that particular act that you must get the reward. And when you force that reward from that act, that person, that circumstance, what it means is you are altering the order of things, how God created giving and receiving to be. So the benefits that ought to come from that act, definitely, they will elude you. Now, people should give willingly. People should give without expecting so much more in return. And giving should even be done in secret. Most giving should be done in secret because it is the positioning of your heart. It is the joy that you deserve. The joy that you derive from giving that person and helping out in a situation that should be more important than what it is that you get from it. So don't give with reward in your head. You have received freely. You should give freely. In fact, I see giving as living. The way that I take in my breath and I exhale and I don't have to pay for it. Any opportunity that I have to give someone, to help someone, I rather see myself as a channel through which God can bless others. And I try not to focus on getting anything back. In fact, when you're giving with your right hand, your left hand shouldn't know. It's not something you should broadcast, announce. It's not something you should keep talking about, because the focus is you received freely. You should give freely. Humanity. You should be able to, enjoy that satisfaction that I was able to help the next person without those conditioning in your head. Because Jesus died for us. God gave his son. He died. And that was an ultimate price to pay. He could as well take a cane and flog everybody on it to compulsory repentance, because he paid the price. Apart from the fact that he created you, he gave you everything, gave you free will and all that, and you lived in disobedience. He gave his son. But then he still leaves it as a choice for you to decide to now give your life back to him. So people should not force people to be eternally indebted to them because they've done something. Funny enough, the people that you give today are not always the people that you receive rewards from. Most times they forget you. Most times. But then because those are seeds that have been sown, God always causes an increase, a harvest. So sometimes you give someone's child, and sometimes donkey years later, your child is in need of something similar. And then there are so many people to give your child back because of that seed you sowed.
For me, I think that I think that that attitude of extending and help and wanting the person to, like you said, being internally great, indebted, not being great,
Indebted.
not
Yeah,
being
because
grateful,
someone
not
can
being
be grateful,
to,
but then not owe you anything.
yeah,
But
so
then you attach like a price to
yeah,
it. Oh, you are
yeah.
indebted.
So you now want the person to slave around you. You want
Yes.
the person to so this thing. So you always keeps reminding. For me, I think that it's also comes from that first thing I thought, the place of selfishness, because it's not
Yes.
about you, not about the person. You attack the person's self-confidence, you attack the person's self-image, you're always looking for a way to run down the person because the person is not groveling, the person is not licking your feet for that one. So I think it's also that same issue, the same root cause for
Yes.
people not being grateful.
Selfishness.
Yeah, selfishness. Because you two are not grateful for the opportunity to help.
Exactly.
You two are not
Yes.
grateful for now. So
You
the
don't see your giving as an act of service and God using you. You see it as something that you are supposed to raise loyal, what's the word? Loyal soldiers all around. I've done for them. All of them should be able to lick my ass, serve me, and slave around me, and be eternally indebted to you now.
so now let me take another scenario, another case. Now we're at the case now where something is done for someone. Maybe over the years, something is done for someone, and the person, the case with the person being ungrateful, person have lost focus, and so because of that one thing, maybe that one thing or one incident or one time that the request made was not fulfilled, was not met, and maybe because of impatience or whatever, this person goes round and starts
Turns 360 degrees.
telling tales about this person, about who their preferred benefactor has been over time. And for me, it's not the fact that you even forgot of them, but the thing that you now build a story, a podcast, a book. You just keep at every
spreading
opportunity, spreading
the propaganda
the propaganda against
against
that person.
that
Now,
person.
what should the person at the receiving end of that evil, because for me it's evil,
Mm.
what should the person do? Would it not affect? Because I know it will affect, but
Yes,
what
you're
should the person
human.
do?
Okay. So that is also very rampant. We have people not only being ungrateful, not only forgetting the goodness that they've enjoyed from somebody, they now turn 360 degrees and start telling tales, telling terrible lies, spreading hate. In fact, generating so much acrimony and distaste for that person in the minds of all their hearers. You see, it's the same thing we talked about. They forget the benefits they have remembered, and their focus has moved from what they should have been grateful for to the recent challenge, the recent, just that one refusal, denial, obstacle, anything you call it. And because they are now focused on that, they now start making it so big, magnifying it. That's where the tales come from, because even them believe the lies that they're telling against you. So for the person on the receiving end, you're human. It's painful, very painful to see someone you fed go about biting your fingers and biting it without thinking. The fingers are bleeding, they're biting, and they even want to cut off the hand. So you would need the grace of God, because forgiveness is not such an easy task. Sometimes you're looking it in the face, it's staring at you, and it's like jabs in your heart, like jabs. You could literally feel that person you have done so much for using a knife and piercing, and it's very painful as a human. So yes, the grace of God to forgive, forget, let go, because you know that God is very faithful. So the seeds you sowed will not go unrewarded. And that the seed this person is currently sowing would also receive his own reward, because there are consequences for every action. The world can call it nemesis. People of the world say, what goes around comes around. So eventually they'll realize. If they don't realize and they die in that story they painted and all that, God usually vindicates the one that is right. And then in the end, most times, you see them retracing their steps. Sometimes it looks too late. And sometimes they now realize that they have been stuck in life because of the level of ingratitude, and they're painting bad stories about the one that they should have been grateful to.
Okay, so bringing it up with thank of each of the things, we try to bring solutions. Now, our relationships cut in different level. I'll just take them to so our work life, family, and maybe social. How does ingratitude affect a workspace? How does ingratitude affect our relationship, whether romantic or family? How does it also affect our social life, friends, social circle, the impact of ingratitude?
So you see, gratitude is a very, very contagious thing. Now, if you're around me and I am a grateful person, without me telling you so much, you just find out that you start being a grateful person too. It rubs off easily. That's why I was saying ungrateful leaders raise ungrateful followers. Same thing at home. You see grateful parents, really good parents that appreciate the little things. Their children pick up those values from them very easily. And then you would see equally grateful children. So in a workspace, when there are bad attitude, bad vibes, you see that easily it goes round all the staff, and then when the boss knows how to talk anyhow, it's abusive, it's an ungrateful person. You find out you have disgruntled staff, they talk anyhow, they too are ungrateful. I mean, you go to a business place and then a staff is talking to a client, somebody that came with his or her money to pay for a service, anyhow. And then the client tries to protest. Look, I'm customer, I should be treated as king. And then you have a boss, instead of coming to interject and solving the problems, apologizing to the client, cautioning the staff, and you have a boss saying, please, if he's not ready for business, we don't have time to waste here. We did not open the business here to come and be exchanging pleasantries with people. You can attend to the next customer there, because his focus is on his money that he's making. He doesn't care the attitude and all that. So you just have duplications of ungrateful people, people with bad character, people with bad attitudes. But then in a workspace where the boss is someone that appreciates the value of gratitude, is appreciative, you would know, because workers will be appreciated in cash, in kind, incentives. So what do you have? You have happier staff. You have happier people that work there. And it will lead to happier customers, because they're able to satisfy their clients, their customers, and then those people keep coming back. They make good business, because apart from the business that you do, people would never truly forget how it is that you treat them, how you make them feel. It's even more important to a whole lot of people than any other thing. So they may come to your office and they don't even get satisfied on the service that they came for. But because of the way that they were treated with respect, appreciated and valued, they'll keep coming back, because it's unconscious. Humans gravitate towards where they are loved, where they are appreciated. And appreciation is gratitude. You see? So grateful people have grateful clients, have grateful customers, have continuous, grateful. So the head, leadership, are you a grateful person? Do you appreciate? If you do that, your staffs will feel loved, appreciated, wanted. In return, they'll treat your clients, your customers in the same manner. And then there's a circle of gratitude that keeps going on. But then when people are being treated anyhow, when there's ingratitude, people are just ungrateful, they're complaining, they're focusing on problems always. That's the only thing that goes round in circles in that workspace. And I can tell you for free, that workspace becomes toxic, very toxic. So you see, even the people there can no longer continue working there. They leave. Because, I'm not valued. I'm not appreciated. I'm almost always unhappy. I'm almost always unsatisfied. Because even in the service that they're giving to their clients, they can't see value in it. They can't see substance. It doesn't mean anything to them. But there are people that will work for an organization and they don't want to go. Not because they don't have better opportunities out there. Sometimes they even see. You see someone doing the same kind of business your boss does, and they pay higher there. But you know what you hear from the people that work there. They're treated like animals. People are not appreciated. People are not treated rightly. So you say, I rather receive 60K here where I be person than to go that place, take 100K monthly, but they treat me like animal.
Wow, that's so. Now, for I want to stay around the business there small, just one
Okay.
small scenario where the boss is a grateful person, he does well with his staff, but and hires an ungrateful person. What should that boss do? Because for me, the person comes in, so no matter what you do,
It still remains ungrateful. I don't know if I used that word, the positioning of the heart. So there are people that they've trained themselves unconsciously to become so ungrateful that they now, I can use the word eternally, they are now eternally ungrateful people. There's nothing you do that can change them from that. I mean, that's just how their heart is positioned. They're ungrateful. Everything they make them vex. So having such a person in a workspace is very difficult because even the grateful people start becoming corrupted by this ungrateful person. They're the ones that usually are not satisfied with their salaries. They're the ones that usually complain a lot about, the circumstances of work. And because they are a voice, yes, what they're saying is wrong, but the other people have ears. They keep hearing it. Before you know,
their hearts move to,
their
they start
hearts
seeing
begin
things that
exactly.
they generally had not been seen before.
Even if they had been saying it, they
They had not been
understand
told
it
what they
or
are.
they make excuses for it. But now they just all of a sudden open, their eyes are open to see so much that they shouldn't be seeing. So before you know it, you now start having people being corrupted in your space. It's important for any boss to know the kind of people that come into their organization. And that's why when you first hire, you should do that on some form of probation. For me, I do a full month probation and then I do 3 months. You're not on probation, you're working with us, but
Like
you'll be
internship
assessed.
now, as
Yes,
an
yes,
assessment period now.
internship and training, because we like to imbibe. We like to, yeah, we like to inculcate our values as a people, train you, and try to make you learn what it is that is important to us as a business, the purpose of why we do what we do, and then make you have that sense of belonging because at the end of the 4th month, you should be on the same page as us. Now, when we see that you are not aligning, you have refused to inculcate those values, then we know that we can't do too much with you. We wait for a day when we need to send you home. And then sometimes like personally, I have experienced people coming back to say, I was wrong. I left and I had experiences that taught me that the things I learned here were the right things. I am repentant, and please, if you give me a second chance, I would like to come. So for that, personally, I don't do business without God. I do my business with purpose. I do my business focused on God. So personally, I now search my spirit and even try to hear before I take such person back. And I've had staff that have left, come back, and they brought back value. They brought back force. They brought back zeal. They came back better. Because when they left, they saw that no, what I was getting there was the right stuff. And this is somewhere I could grow. And a lot of them have stayed longer than, you would even expect a staff to stay. I was telling someone, for me, I started my business as a student. And then what God told me about the purpose, it was beyond beautifying spaces. I was to bring a touch of heaven on earth at the venues so I'm creating atmospheres, not just beautiful spaces, atmospheres where God can connect and contact with people. Now, the people that work for me need to be in line with that purpose. So you can't work for me and behave in a certain manner. I tell you for free that you're here. Yes, you'll be gaining monetary value, but the trainings that you get here, when you leave, you can't remain the same, and you shouldn't forget them. So usually they come unrefined, raw. And I like to work with those people. Those are the stuff that God truly wants to work with.
Because he can mold them into
Yes,
what he
yes,
wants.
yes. Not people that are already formed into whatever they think should be ideals. So he now molds them by himself gradually and makes them who he wants them to be. So while working for me, you are in a school of training. Just like me, I'm still in my school of process. And I want to hear God and do what's right. So I desire that you working for me, you get to the point where you hear God. Sometimes my staff will even say, now wow, na fellowship. Because na fellowship, really. So beyond the work that you do, are you becoming a better version of yourself? While doing that job, the people that see you, the people that encounter you, do they see certain graces and realize that, yes, this one is different? Do they admire those things? You see? And by the grace of God, we've had students come and they leave us graduates. Some of them don't even want to leave. They're still graduates, but it's more or less, it's like family. Yeah. It's like family now. You see, those values have continuously been growing in them, and then they now see themselves as servants, tools in the hands of God, not just people that are working, doing decoration to make money and go their way. So in the different things that they now involve themselves in, they're also shining that light.
Beautiful. I would like you to bring it home as we draw it to a close, this
Okay.
conversation. So it was titled the Ingratitude Challenge because we want to give one or two, three steps that will give us a challenge for people to do and say, in taking these steps, I became a better person. I moved more great. I became a more grateful person. So are there a challenge we can throw out to people, one or
Yeah.
two, that they can start doing on a daily or on a weekly basis that makes them better? Do you have any of that?
I actually do.
Okay, so let's take them.
Yes, I actually do. So when you focus on the things that you have, like you put an x-ray, you're looking critically, what is it that I have? and you could list them out. I'm looking for a quote to close. Yeah. When you focus on the things that you have and you can list them out and you are able to pen them down continuously over a period of time, the realization that you have more than you do not have begins to come in. Now, I said that because it has to be an intentional act, not just like you're remembering in your head. No, 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 no. Not that. I mean, you get a book, gratitude book, and you challenge yourself, okay, this is November, or I could do this in December. And from the 1st of December to the 31st of December, every day, I want to think critically and write down 10 things that I have, 10 things that I'm grateful for. You'll be shocked that every day you will have more than 10 things to pen down. And when the 31st day is done, you'll be having over 300 and something things to be grateful for. And then if you are to also write 10 things that you do not have, you'll be shocked that the things you have are always more than the things that you do not have. And if you could, take that as a challenge, personally, in your business, gratitude challenge, let me write them out. Before you get to day 10, while you're writing, you may even always be crying because it makes you remember. There's a scripture that I love. It says, forget not his benefits. And it's like an admonition, it's like an instruction, but I don't think it's unimportant for it to have been said. It means there's a tendency to always forget his benefits.
So so that's where we were, because we want people to now have that challenge. So that's where I would end for today. So it's not just talking. Sit down and intentionally write. Do this assignment. Take a
Yes.
gratitude journal. Take it and call it your gratitude journal, and begin to pen down 10 things.
Yeah.
And don't become dissuaded maybe if you don't get to 10. Do it if it's 5, but start, write, and just be grateful. Day 1,
Things you're grateful for. Yes.
day 2, things that you're grateful for. Because you see, the key thing that you have said, forgetfulness is a key cause for ingratitude. And this brings me to a part that I read in ending this, where the Bible would always tell the Israelites, when God does something for them, it tells them, take a stone. Like when they crossed the Jordan.
Engrave it.
When they crossed the Jordan, he told them,
Yeah.
take a stone that intends to come. When your children ask, why, what's the meaning of these stones? You will tell them God did this. So it's always like a milestone. Take something that always reminds you
Of
of
his benefits.
his benefits. Take something. So because when we forget, ingratitude sets in.
Exactly.
So the challenge is this: do not forget. How do you not forget? You have to take a place where you read to remind yourself. So that is the exercise. What it does is it reminds you to be grateful.
Another thing I wanted to say is, when you're done with that journal, you keep it. Now, when it looks like you are overwhelmed and you have forgotten some of these benefits, bring it out
And go through again.
and go through it. You'll be shocked how, if you wrote if you did a gratitude challenge in December of 2024, in December of 2025, by the time you go through it, you see the progress you have actually made. Because I mean, someone can say, God, I'm grateful that I have a car. And if you want to be specific, you write the brand of the car, the color, the make, everything. And then a year or 2 years later, you're taking that book up and you realize you now have 2 cars. And somebody may say, God, I'm grateful for the provision to pay my house rent, to live in a 2-bedroom flat, a decent 2-bedroom flat. This thing I'm telling you, be grateful for everything. Me, I'm grateful for my skin. Hello? So, and it's something I do. I don't do it every time, but I set aside a month, a 31 days in a year, and I do my gratitude challenge. In fact, for my children, I have a gratitude diary. There's a jog drawn, and your task is to fill it up with the things you're grateful for every day. So if you read Nathaniel's own, you would laugh because he would say, God, I'm grateful that I can gas. Yeah, and then
I don't know how beautiful.
Funny. It's funny.
Yes,
It's funny. It's very funny.
but we don't
But
know.
Nathaniel wrote it because he saw someone have an operation, couldn't eat till they had to pass gas, and he was like, "Mommy, is that how important gas is? So fasting is important." So sometimes Nathaniel is with you and you just hear him say, "Thank you, Jesus." He just farted. But you see, these little things are the things that will make you grateful for so much. How about oxygen? Is it when I had a child that was dying before me, he couldn't breathe properly? Or when Nathaniel now came and had the same symptoms and the doctors had penned down, older sibling died of so heart drama, and they're suspecting the same thing, and they're saying, oh, this guy's obesity in heart failure, and they're writing so many negative stuff, and I'm like, again, for the second time, and I couldn't even pray. It was gratitude that brought my son out of it. Because I just was thanking God and I was just singing. I couldn't even pray. And there was no cylinder of oxygen in FMC. My husband had to go to Port Harcourt with an FMC staff and cylinders. And he was also praying that, God, even if my son will not need it, at least I will buy oxygen for another child. Because we could see one child after the other dying due to lack of oxygen. So this gratitude challenge we're talking about, like, you should literally be grateful that you can clap your hands, that you can walk, that you can close your eyes to sleep, and like Nathaniel, that you can fart. Because these are benefits you have no even control over. You can't even use money to get them. Just imagine that you had to buy oxygen for the rest of your life, and be grateful. Be grateful. Freely you have received, freely you should also give, and freely you should be very grateful and appreciative of all that you have received.
Awesome. But I need to reiterate that that's the whole essence of these things, to get us to become grateful people. The Bible would say, be ye doers and not hearers. The problem now, why apart from the absent thing in society, is that there's a lot of hearers and few doers.
Very few doers.
There's a lot of hearers, so much knowledge. You go to a place, so much knowledge, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether people filled with so much knowledge, people talk so much, but few doers. If a lot of us do the things we know are right, we'll have less of the problems
that we have
that
today.
we have.
Yes.
We know so much of the
Better
right
society.
things. We know so much of the right things, but few people do the right things.
Yeah.
We have people that know so much of the right thing. When things go wrong, we have people that know all of the right things to be done.
They can analyze, they can reiterate, technocrats, beautiful.
But
deep conversations,
but
but
we
then
are
are we doing?
So we have few doers of the
Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
And that's why we seem to have. So it's not so much about hearing, it's not so much to psych you and say, yeah, she said something good. Oh no, he made a valid point there. No, it's to get you to do, to become a more grateful person. And these values are contagious. It's because when you become more valuable, a more grateful person, it rubs up on your circle. And that's what we want to see. So take up that challenge.
Yeah.
And get your life going. This has been a wonderful time for us at the Vital Space podcast. Until we come your way some other time, stay grateful.